Hello, Mzansi. We're back as Hollywood Bets once again brings you another exciting episode of Game On. I am Caesar Mapena in the company of greats today, in the way of Jace Kosana as well as Shane McGregor, with the leagues just about done and dusted. Out in England, we are talking about who's qualified for what competitions, and all the places that done. The league is done and dusted. Same out in Germany, and the South African league just about done and dusted as well. Shane joins me as we firstly discuss England, and interesting that things have ended the way they have in England. Some interesting results that have come through that, of course, saw the scramble for places, Shane, go right to the final day. Exciting when you're thinking up to position 7. We weren't sure, outside of the first 2 positions, who would finish where. Exciting way to end the season where there's so much to talk about.
Yeah, good to be here. You know, I've been saying this all along. We're going to see it go to the final whistles, go to the final games. And that's exactly what happened. You know, we saw a tight finish at the end there. Newcastle scraping through into Champions League by view of goal difference. You know, they got beaten, or they didn't get a result in the last game, but they still qualified just due to their better goal difference. So, yeah, definitely went down to the wire.
It certainly did. And, of course, there were sides like Aston Villa that had a lot to play for going into the last game against Manchester United. Watched that game. It wasn't quite the Villa I expected to see. There was, they looked as though they were lacking intensity. Yes, penalty and a red card, but still Villa didn't seem to have the intensity of a side with a lot to play for.
Yeah, I think the red card had a lot to say to do with it. You know, unfortunately for them, it was a silly tackle, and But anyway, that's what happens. These things happen in football. But they fought back and they tried their best. Just wasn't there. Remember, I said to you again early in the season, legs tired. Not big enough squad, and that's where it came with them. You know, they brought players into their squad, but it was just a little bit too late. You know, but anyway, they still qualify. They're still in Europe, which is the main thing. You know, that's the big thing. The big talking point is 6 teams in Champions League next season.
For including Tottenham, of course.
Yeah, because you got the top 5, and then you got Tottenham coming through because they won Europa.
Another game which we felt maybe was the game of the weekend was Nottingham Forest and Chelsea, both with Champions League spots to play for. Forest at home. Chelsea were looking for the strong ending to the season. They got that with the 1-0 win against Forest. An important result for Chelsea. That secures Champions League qualification, whilst for Forest, they just edged out of the Champions League. Yeah,
unfortunately for them, couldn't get their final game. And I thought they'll get the result because Chelsea had the cup final coming up. And, you know, you're always looking at teams like that, players thinking, well, let's not put our foot in there, cup final coming up. But end of the day, they were worthy winners there. Forest just couldn't go through with it. But they still done well. You know, you can't knock them. They were one of the surprise teams of the season.
Yeah.
They would have been happy finishing where they were now. If you told them beginning of the season, you're going to finish up, they would have been very happy with that. End of the day, just not good enough, but they're still in Europe.
Well, just to round it all up, Liverpool, Arsenal, Manchester City, Chelsea, Newcastle United make up the top 5 spots. Add Tottenham in there, and those are the 6 going, of course, to the Champions League. Villa and Nottingham Forest round up the sides playing in Europe. But just to break it down here in what makes the difference at the end of it all, and goals do make the world go round. When you look at the top 25 goal scorers in England, none of them come from Arsenal.
But that's a big worry, and that's the big difference between football. You look at who the champions were, Liverpool. Who's the top goal scorer? Mo Salah. And he's not a striker as such. I mean, they do play him as an attacking player, foremost. Got the goals for them. Look at Man City, Haaland. You look at and you go all the way down. Where's Arsenal? You got their top goal scorers 9 goals, 11 goals.
9 goals.
I mean,
so no one on double figures at Arsenal.
There's not double figures. Now, that just shows you exactly where they are.
It's Kai Havertz.
Kai Havertz.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. And he was injured for a little bit of the season. Okay, so you say fine, but he's not an out-and-out striker. This is the big worry for me with Arsenal is they've been playing this false number 9 for far too long. It's not working. Surely you can see that as a manager, as a management group, that this is not working. We need to get someone that's going to put the ball in the back of the net on a regular basis. And I'm saying a striker that's going to get you 20 goals. If they had that, would they be in the position where they are now, or would they be very much closer to Liverpool? I think with a guy that's going to get them 20 goals a season, they will be they will be fighting for the title. But when I say fighting for the title, it'll be a lot closer.
Might even be the difference between Champions League semi-final and getting all the way through to a final as well.
Exactly.
Might even be that difference. Because when you look at, the top goal scorers, we mentioned Salah, 29, Isak, 23, Newcastle have had success in that regard. Haaland, 22, we know it hasn't been a great season for
one of his worst seasons.
Yeah,
but
Pep and his boys.
Haaland's worst seasons.
Yeah, and Pep's as well.
Goals. Yeah.
And Pep's as well. But still, 22 goals is good enough to get you into the Champions League spots. Chris Wood is an interesting one for me at Nottingham Forest. The big surprise from New Zealand, 20 goals.
Chris Wood, if you look at, and this is why I say, and I told you in the beginning that this manager is very shrewd, very clever at Forest. He's taken a man like Chris Woods, where he was on the fringes of all different clubs. He had left Newcastle, gone here, gone there, and he's brought him into and played to his strengths. And look how many goals he's got. So it just shows you that what a manager can do for a player's career. Whether he can do it next season, I'm not too sure. He might just be a fringe player again, and then you'll have to find another route for goals for them. But for him, he revitalised himself this season. But once again, one of those up there in Europe, up there with the top because of the goals, and that's what's important. You've got to have a man scoring goals for you.
Yeah, well, Cole Palmer on 15, Watkins from Villa on 16. They still qualified and met their objectives. But Arsenal, we have to say, yes, they may have finished higher than those sides, but their objectives are different. They were looking to win.
They were looking to win the league.
They were looking to possibly get into a Champions League final and win that as well.
But that's what I'm saying. They were looking to win the league, looking to win Champions League. But if you're not got that guy that's going to put the ball in the back of the net for you all the time, it makes a big difference. And for me, he's got to look at his system and say, well, we need to change this. If we want to win something, let's change it now.
Arsenal got close to the final of the Champions League. We saw what Tottenham and Manchester United were able to do and get into the final as well out in Europe. For English sides, also, the quest is not only just to do well in England, but also take over Europe here.
Yeah, of course.
Are they looking good? What you've seen this season?
Your first thing is to win the league, and then the next one to Champions League. Yeah. So, you want to be doing your best in that. But as I say, if you're not going to have that prolific goal scorer for you, you're not going to win games. You look at locally, it's the same thing. Sundowns, Pirates have got big guys, goals. Other clubs don't.
Yeah. So there you have it. Goals make the world go around, and they certainly made the English Premier League go around and gave us plenty of excitement, plenty of big surprises. Lovely season. It went down to the wire in the way of the scramble for European places. We certainly look forward to next season. We take a short break, come back and discuss what's happening locally and the drama that's waiting right down to the wire in the way of who qualifies for a spot in the playoffs at the end of the season.